classification of sensitive information. So we have data classification. Do we know this? Yes, we know the data classification. We know trainable classifiers. We know sensitive information types. We know EDMs, exact data match. So what exactly is data classification? Okay, we have also talked about how we can configure this. What are the built-in methods or types are there? So data classification describes the process of identifying, categorizing, and protecting content according to its sensitivity or impact level. So organizations classify data in many ways, including sensitivity labels, sensitive information types, retention label, trainable classifiers. Data classification frameworks are typically comprised of 3 to 5 classification levels: public, internal, confidential, highly confidential. These are the examples, right? And to protect content, data classification frameworks define the controls that should be in place for each data classification level. So how to implement this data classification? Okay, we know this. Okay, data classification, what exactly is this? It enables an organization to see the effect that all the retention and sensitivity labels are having its environment. Okay, visibility into tagged content. What is a sensitivity label? Sensitivity label, it is kind of a stamp. Okay, you stamp something and it will travel all over, but still that stamp will be there. You can achieve encryption with the help of sensitivity label policy. Okay, so it is kind of a content marking. I hope you have seen watermarks on some documents that you cannot copy the data from that particular document. You cannot download those documents. You cannot print those documents. It's happening because of sensitivity labels, right? This content marking or watermarks are there. Okay, you should be able to see that is nothing but sensitivity labels. From Purview portal, we can manage sensitivity label. If you can see here, under information protection, I should be able to see sensitivity labels. And within that, I get to see some inbuilt sensitivity labels are there. Also, I can go ahead and I can create my own sensitivity label. So if you can see here, we have these types of sensitivity labels: personal, public, general, confidential, highly confidential, finance, some project related, priorities there, scope, where it should be applicable, files, other data sets, email, right? Created by admins, last modified. So I can see that. These are my sensitivity labels. If I want, I can also create a customized sensitivity label. If I click on that, it gives me the configuration wizard, and in that I can provide details. For example, what should be the name of my sensitivity label? So let's say project. Let's say canvas. Okay, whatever. Display name. What it should be displayed? Let's say canvas. Label priority. Okay. Description for users. This label is for the content related to project canvas. Anything that will make sense to you and for what purpose you're creating this. Then we have description for admins. Okay, again, which will make sense to you. And you can select the color. Okay, next. Define the scope for this label. Okay, we are creating this label, but where exactly it should be applied? So it should be applied to data assets and containers like SharePoint sites, Teams. Okay, so where I want to apply this label, to which data? First option, we have files and other data assets. So label files and data assets in Microsoft 365. Microsoft Fabric includes Power BI, Azure. Then we have emails. It label messages sent from all versions of Outlook. Meetings are there. Label calendar events and meeting schedules in Outlook and Teams. Okay, so you can select this scope. Next, we have choose protection settings for the types of items that you have selected. Control access, who can access and view label items. Apply content marking. Okay. Protect Teams meetings and chats. That's grayed out. Okay. Because of maybe because of license. Because I don't have, if you see here, I don't have Teams premium license. Okay. So that's grayed out. Then I can see get access control. Okay. Configure access control settings. So here I get to see this option. Assign permissions now or let users to decide. Okay. Users access to content expire. That I'm saying that user can access this content, but only for some particular period of time. After that date or after that time, it should be expired. That person should not be able to access this item anymore. So I can decide these options never, on a specific date, a number of days after label is applied, right? Allow offline access. Very simple. Are they able to, should they able to access this offline or not? Always, never, only for number of days. Assign permissions to specific users and groups. And here I get to see the assign permissions. Okay. I can add all users and groups in my organization. I can add any authenticated users. I can add users or groups, add specific email addresses or domains, and what permissions they will have. Editor permission, owner permission, restricted editor, viewer permission, customize publish permissions, copy, reply, forward, edit, export, allow, full control. I can select this. This is how we manage permissions to sensitivity labels, right? And then we have use dynamic watermarking, use DKE, double key encryption. Okay. Next, content marking. So you can add custom headers, custom footers, custom watermarks are there to your content that has this label applied. Okay. So you can enable this and it will give you options for adding a watermark. You can customize this. You can customize the text. You can customize the font size. You can customize the font color, text layout. So in on many documents, you might have seen this watermarks. Okay. So same way you can have this header, footer, font size, color, align text left, center, right, right? You can decide that. Same, add footer. Okay, this content marking. Then we have auto labeling for files and emails. Auto labeling, a very important feature. Whenever a label is there, okay, there are two options. Either your admin says whenever these conditions will be matching, this label should be applied automatically. Okay, so your admin will select this option, auto label for files and emails. Second, your admin says, okay, or your admin lets users to decide this labeling. Okay, we have this option, auto labeling for files and emails. Okay, detect content that matches these conditions. So when this should be applying this, okay, detect content that matches this condition. First of all, we have sensitive information type. Second, we have trainable classifier. Okay, you can add this. If you want, you can add more conditions as well. Okay, when content matches these conditions, automatically apply the label. Okay, this is the first option. Second, recommend that users apply the label. Second options, or let your users apply the label. Okay, and display this message to users when the label is applied. You can add something that will make sense to them as well. Why you are applying this label or any message. Okay. Next, we have define protection settings for groups and sites. Okay, and these are for like these settings apply to teams, groups, and sites. Okay, that's fine. We don't have Teams premium license and create label. My create. Now, what is the next step? Label is created, but who are going to use this? How this will be useful? What are the next steps? These are the next steps. Automatically apply the label to sensitive content. Okay. Second, publish label to users' applications. Don't create a policy yet. Okay. So you can use this option. If I say automatically apply label to sensitive content, this label will be automatically applied to sensitive files stored on a SharePoint, OneDrive, or emails that have been processed by Exchange. Okay, the policy will run in simulation mode, so you can confirm that the label will be applied to the correct item. Second, publish label to users application. So create a publishing policy to show label in Office application, SharePoint, Teams, Microsoft 365 groups. So users can apply it to content themselves, and don't create a policy yet. You can publish or auto apply this label later. Okay, so that will be your call. What do you want to set up? So in the list of sensitivity labels, our label will be displayed. This is the label that we have created. Okay, you can change the priority, scope, created by, last modified. In case you want to edit this, you want to create a sub label to it. In case you want to create auto labeling policy, you want to publish the label, edit the label, you can manage this. If I say I want to publish the label, so in that scenario, I will have to create sensitivity label policy. Okay, this is the label that we have selected. Okay, within this policy, if I go to next, I should be able to see admin units, or I can publish this to users and groups. Next, policy settings. User must provide a justification to remove a label or lower its classification. Require users to apply a label to their emails and documents. Require users to apply a label to their Fabric and Power BI content. Provide users with a link to custom help page. Right? So these options are available. Apply a label, default label to documents. None, canvas. Okay. So this label you choose will automatically be applied to Word, Excel, PowerPoint documents when they are created or modified. Then emails. The label you choose will automatically be applied to new and existing unlabeled emails. Users can always change the default label before they send the message. Same as document, none, canvas. Inherit label from attachments. Default settings for meetings and calendar events. Apply default label to meetings and calendar events. Apply inheritance between Teams meeting and artifacts. Okay. Default settings for Fabric and Power BI content. So for, if you noticed, these options are available for different workloads. Outlook, SharePoint, OneDrive, Power BI, Fabric, right? Meetings. Okay, and then I can name my policy. Description, next, and my policy is created. Okay, so I should be able to see policies. I get to see this policy over here. There is a policy that we have just set it up. Priority created by, last modified. You can have multiple policies. Auto labeling policies are there, so you can create auto labeling policy. Okay, protection policies are there. Okay, which is in preview. Okay, so you can have this sensitivity labels. Okay, so what exactly is this? This is nothing but this kind of a stamp that will travel along with your data. This is sensitivity label policy. Trainable classifiers, yes, we have talked about trainable classifiers. We have by default trainable classifiers. And in case you want to create or customize something your own, you can also train your classifiers. Okay, first of all, we have to provide positive sample. After that, we have to provide negative samples, and Microsoft will work on that. Microsoft's AI plus machine learning engines will be working on that, and it will publish trainable classifiers for you. And if it is not working as expected, then in that scenario, you can connect with Microsoft and you can submit your feedback. It will retrain your classifier. Okay. So there are two different types of classifiers are there. Pre-trained classifiers are there, or you can have your customized trainable classifier. We have to give the samples, about 50 to 500 sample files that are manually picked and positively match the category. Testing the classifier's ability to predict by giving it a mix of positive and negative samples and retraining the classifier over its lifetime to improve performance. Okay. So it has three ways to classify content. So it can be protected and handled manually. Then we have automated pattern matching and we have trainable classifiers. So how exactly it works? For example, let's say you created your own or you submitted samples with Microsoft to create your own trainable classifiers, and Microsoft will publish it for you. After that, it will ask you for your feedback. Okay. So a published classifier is used as a condition and in office auto labeling policy, a retention label policy, or a communication compliance policy, be it any policy. Okay. So items classified. Admin uses feedback flyout to evaluate the performance to their classifier, match, not a match, and suggest more appropriate classifier, then sends feedback to classifier. Okay. Microsoft says, do you want to improve this? If it says yes, okay. Then again, it will go through the cycle. 30 instances of feedback accumulate for a classifier. Classifier retrains for like twice a day for like 1 to 4 hours. Admin does side-by-side evaluation of retraining predictions and current published classifier prediction. Okay. So take action, leave the currently published version of the classifier in place. So this is how it works. You can create own classification. You can set up your own classification. So after 30 evaluations are made for a classifier, it takes that feedback and automatically retrains itself. So pre-trained classifiers that are provided with a Microsoft 365 tenant can't be retrained, and custom trainable classifiers are retrained in the data classification feature in Purview portal. Okay. Then we have Content Explorer, Activity Explorer. This is something we have talked about, but still again, you want to see this. You can see this Data Explorer, Content Explorer, Activity Explorer is there. So I can see what kind of data is present within my organization and the locations as well. I can see Data Explorer. I can see Content Explorer. So I can explore email and documents in my organization that contain sensitive information or have labels applied. And Activity Explorer. Okay. So what people are doing with your sensitive content, you can see that in Activity Explorer. Okay. So it says data classification page within the Microsoft Purview Compliance portal provides data classification analytics. These capabilities are provided through Content Explorer, Activity Explorer tools. Okay, what is Content Explorer? Basically, it provides visibility into amount and types of sensitive data in an organization. It also enables users to filter by label or sensitive type. Doing so displays a detailed view of locations where the sensitive data is stored. And then we have Activity Explorer. This tab shows the activities related to sensitive data and labels. For example, label downgrades or external sharing that could expose content to risk. Activity Explorer displays the activities that are related to sensitive information that's being used by end users, right? And then we have next type of classifier, we have fingerprinting, document fingerprinting. What exactly is this? It's a part of SIT. In SIT, we talked about how we can configure this. We have regular expressions. We will be adding patterns to it, keywords to it. Same way, instead of data now, we are creating a pattern for a document. So someone, if sharing a document outside your organization, it will detect the pattern of that document, not the data this time. Okay, that is fingerprint. We are creating fingerprint of a particular document. Simply, you have to submit and you have to upload a document. Okay, so here you have to upload a file. So it says fingerprint based SIDs are based on the fingerprint of a file, not data this time. So please upload file for which you would like to create a fingerprint. The uploaded file must have minimum of 4,000 characters. For example, let's say I'm working for a university. Okay, so let's say this is the document or certification that we get. Okay, name, title, some content. This is to certified anything, any content. Okay, I'm working for university. Okay, and that university provides some certificates. Now, if I say, okay, I will steal the format of this particular certificate, I will fill up my own data, and I can consider, or I will forge this as a legitimate document. Okay, so uh, if fingerprint SIT is created for this document, that will be detected. Okay, even if you add or edit or edit data or modify this data, pattern will be detected for that document. That is something we call it as fingerprint SIT. It's very simple. Simply you have to upload a file, any any file that you can upload, and in that, right now I don't have file, but that should be including 4,000 characters, and you can upload the file. Okay, next, that's it. Your fingerprint SIT would be created. So in the same way that person's fingerprints have unique patterns, documents have unique word patterns as well. When an organization uploads a file, Microsoft Purview DLP identifies the unique word pattern in the document. It creates a document fingerprint based on that pattern. It uses that document fingerprint to detect outbound documents containing the same pattern. Once a document fingerprint is created, the organization can create a new data classification rule that uses the document fingerprinting, and the organization should then set up a DLP policy, and it should add the rule to that policy. Based on the DLP policy, the Microsoft Purview DLP service detects any documents in outbound email that match that fingerprint. All right, for example, here, this is a original document, patent title, inventors, description. Okay, so that will be detected even if you put some information here. This is fingerprint SIT. Implement sensitivity labels.